First free throw for KT is good. Mary Moyer will now check in for Emily Harmon. One more free throw upcoming here for Kristen Thompson. Been averaging nearly a double-double this season, 13.8 points and 9.7 rebounds. And the second free throw, no good. The rebound is taken by Mackenzie Campbell. Now they will push it. Gage is there to intercept the pass. And now Gage will slow things up to Irwin. Wide open for three. Jenna not able to knock it down, and the rebound is taken by Locke. Locke is now looking to push for Wilmington, but she will now slow things up. 43 seconds and counting in the first quarter. Capital with a 3-point lead, 19-16 over Wilmington. Locke dribbling in, loses the ball. Irwin with the steal. Now up ahead to Gage. Gage looking to run to KT. KT has it stripped at the last moment by Tabor. Going out of bounds. Capital will still have possession of the ball. 32.2 seconds remain in the first quarter. So now Gage will inbound it from the baseline. To Napolitano. Nina.
Plenty of time to work with.
To Gage, now to Watchman. Annika driving in, skips it over to KT. No good, but nice offensive rebound by Napolitano. Now Capital can hold for the last shot of the quarter. 15 seconds and counting. Gage out towards half court. Gets the sign from Dixie Jeffers. 8 seconds. Gage gets it into Thompson. Thompson triple team to Napolitano. Watchman baseline, and she traveled with the basketball. 2.8 seconds remain in the first quarter. Moyer inbounds it to Mackenzie Campbell. Campbell will let it go, but the shot wouldn't have counted even if it went in. So that will end the first quarter. At the end of one, it's Capital 19, Wilmington 16. Come on back for the second quarter. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
This is a message for the nurses among us, for those who dream of saving lives, for those who are driven to improve care, and for those ready to help heal what's broken, be it a single bone fracture or an entire hospital system. Capital University's advanced nursing programs are built for you. Engaged faculty, immersive learning, and intimate classes where you'll know everyone's name. To learn more, visit capital.edu/nursing. Advanced nursing at Capital University, for those driven to do more.
Brugger's Bagels has been bringing authentic New York-style bagels, breakfast foods, coffee, soups, and more to the world since 1983, and there is a location in Bexley ready to get your day started right. Located on 2510 East Main Street, Brugger's is open Monday through Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Brugger's also can cater your next event and can be reached by phone at 614-236-4000. Brugger's Bagels is proud to support Capital University athletics.
Just about to begin second quarter action. Capital leading Wilmington 19-16. You are listening to quarterfinal action for the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament alongside Jimmy Bloomfield. I'm Charlie Danis. Quakers back with the basketball. It is Deja Locke dribbling around. Now it's over to Cavell in the corner for three. That is no good. And then the rebound is taken by Tabor for Wilmington. Locke dribbling around, now over to Moyer. Now it's in the hands of Campbell. Now a three-pointer for Moyer. No good, and the rebound is taken by Thompson. Thompson up to Gage, but her pass is picked off by Locke. Locke driving against Thompson. It's off the glass. The foul is going to be called against KT. And now a second foul going against Kristen Thompson, which means that she's going to have to sit.
That is not what you want to see for Cap, obviously. Now they're going to have to rely on Pla and Fondesi pretty heavily here for these last 9 minutes. Thompson still incredulous with the call. She's shaking her head as she comes off the court here.
Chelsea Pla comes on for Capital.
They awoke a beast. She's going to come out firing here in the second half, Charlie. There's no doubt about that.
Locke knocks down the second free throw. Assistant coach Jason Wright trying to calm down Thompson on the sideline. Meanwhile, Gage over to Irwin. Now to Watchman. Watchman to Pla. Pla left wide open. Long jumper for Chelsea. No good. She gets the offensive rebound, however. Chelsea, now over to Nina. Now to Simone. Simone on the left wing. Gets it over to Annika. Annika dribbles in, back out to Nina. Nina, back out to Annika. 14 on the shot clock. Now to Nina. Top of the arc for three. No good. Nina misses it. And a foul's going to be called against
Moyer. And Plaw's hurt.
Moyer, or Pla, I should say, limping a little bit. But she'll stay in the game. Ooh,
Yeah, they got to get her out of there. She's trying to play through right now. She banged on her ankle with Moyer, and they're leaving her out there to play through. She's on one leg right now, Charlie.
Gage shouting out directions offensively. Gets it over to the hobble Pla. Now over to Watchman. Watchman to Irwin. Jenna for three. Jenna not able to knock it down. And then a foul's called, looks like against Chelsea Pla, as Moyer grabbed the rebound for Wilmington.
Capitals 1 for 9 from 3 in this game already, Charlie. That's not their game. Looking over the first half stats, a couple things that jump out to me. 7 turnovers for Wilmington, 5 for Capital. Both of those too many. Capital had 5 offensive rebounds compared to just 1 offensive rebound for Wilmington, which led to Capital getting off 7 more shot attempts, but only a 3-point lead to show for it.
19-18 lead for Capital. 8:22 left to play in the second quarter. Tabor over to Campbell. Campbell dribbles in, now back out to Locke. Locke being guarded by Gage. Locke dribbling around, now over to Campbell on the right wing. 9 on the shot clock. Campbell, floater, no good. And Irwin grabs the rebound for Capital. Now it's over to Gage. Gage bounces it over to Shelby Sigmund. Sigmund back to Simone now. Colleen, top of the arc. Now over to Watchman on the right wing. Back in the hands of Irwin. They'll bounce it into Colleen, who passes it to Watchman. Jumper, air ball for Annika. No good. And the rebound is taken for Wilmington. Capital with a 1-point lead, 19-18, 7:45 remaining. Floater in the lane, no good. And it'll go out of bounds, and it will go to Capital as, boy, Mary Moyer was really scrapping with a bunch of Capital players for positioning on that on a potential rebound. And now checking into the ball game for Capital. Looks like we will be seeing Jacqueline Yankel. 5'9" freshman from Youngstown, Ohio. Also checking in for Wilmington is Emily Smith.
Pla's moved down to the end of the bench here, Charlie, to get her ankle checked out too.
So now the depth is really going to be tested here for Capital tonight. Pla with what looks to be an ankle injury.
Yeah, she just went into the locker room, actually.
And Kristen Thompson dealing with 2 fouls. Now it's over to Irwin. Over to Yankel. Now back in the hands of Gage. Now it's over to Irwin. Jenna driving in. Off the glass and in for Jenna Irwin.
And that's what they needed. Someone's got to, want the basketball and want to score. And Irwin has certainly been doing that lately. Ever since that Otterbein game, she's been on fire, Charlie.
Courtney Hillis gets it over to Deja Locke. Now it's back to Hillis. Hillis thought about a 3. Now it's over to Locke. Locke dribbling in, penetrating, floater, good for Locke. Capital 21, Wilmington 20. 6:52 remain in the second quarter. Gage to Fondesi. Fondesi to Sigmund. Sigmund bounces it over to Irwin. Jenna trying to dribble in, falls down, ball goes out of bounds, and the ball will go back to Wilmington as Irwin was trying to get a bounce pass over to Fondesi. So now Locke dribbling the ball up the court for Wilmington. Capital still leading by 1, 21-20. Approaching 6.5 to play in the second quarter. It's skipped on over to Hillis. Hillis will launch a deep 3. That is no good. The rebound is taken by Irwin.
Catapulted that thing.
Gage penetrating, a kick out to Sigmund. Now to Irwin. Now over to Gage, who calls for a screen. Back to Jenna, inside. Colleen, turnaround. Jay, no good for Colleen. And the rebound taken by Hillis for Wilmington. Locke across half court. Back and forth we go between the Quakers and the Crusaders. Turnaround, Jay. Tough shot. That's no good. Rebound taken by Jacqueline Yankel. Yankel now dribbling up the court. Yankel towards the right wing. Finally, she gets it back in the hands of Simone Gage. Simone now getting instructions from Coach Jeffers. Now Capital will go to work offensively. They get it over to Jacqueline, who nearly fumbles it away, but now it gets over to Colleen. Now in the hands of Jenna. Jenna, shot, pass fake out to Jacqueline. Shot no good for Irwin, and the rebound is taken by Emily Smith. Capital has gone ice cold from the field these last couple of possessions.
Just 2 points in the quarter.
Loose ball out of bounds. Went off the foot, it looked like, of Colleen Fondesi. So Wilmington will keep possession with 19 remaining on the shot clock. Napolitano will check in for Sigmund. Meanwhile, Locke will exit for Wilmington. Back in comes Ellie Cavell. Cavell gets it in. Long jumper, no good. But the rebound is taken by Emily Smith, and now a traveling violation is going to be called against Smith.
Another turnover for the Quakers. We've seen quite a bit on both sides, Charlie.
Capital 21, Wilmington 20. 5:13 remaining in the second quarter. A grand total of 6 points have been scored between both teams.
After we had 35 in the first quarter.
Irwin upset scoring total just a bit, knocking down the 15-footer.
And the majority of the field goals for Cap have come in that 16 to 20-foot jump shot range. Ooh.
A traveling call missed, apparently, as they get it back out to Cavell. Cavell, now a three-pointer on the way. That's no good. Foul on the inside goes against Wilmington, more specifically Emily Smith.
So we're seeing a lot of fouls away from the ball or on rebounds, but not so many fouls in terms of, making contact with the player as they shoot. And we'll go to another media timeout.
4:46 remaining in the second quarter. Capital 23, Wilmington 20. Here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Don't settle for a tasteless pizza after the game when Anthony's Pizzeria is right in your neighborhood, serving up the best East Coast style pie with their own fresh dough made daily. Family owned and Bexley proud, Anthony's offers the best subs on the block as well as fresh calzones and stromboli. And Anthony's Pizza has been voted #1 in Pleasant Ridge. Dine in or carry out, Anthony's is easy to find at 602 Pleasant Ridge, adjacent to the Capital University Athletic Complex. And as easy as dialing 231-6628 to order the best. 231-6628, Anthony's Pizzeria. Hello, I'm Coach Jackson. College coaches work hard to beat their opponents, but now they're all on the same team to defeat Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's called Coach to Cure MD, and you can help. Text the word CURE, C-U-R-E, to 99999 to donate $5 on your next baby family. Or go online at CoachToCureMD.org. Text the word CURE to 99999 and help coaches cure MD. Brought to you by the American Football Coaches Association. State of Michigan to play.
4:46 remaining in the second quarter. Capital leading Wilmington 23-20. Another score update for you on the men's side. They are tied at 30 between John Carroll and Capital. Actually, Capital has just taken a 2-point lead. 3:43 left to go in the first half of that game. Simone Gage, meanwhile, cross half court. Bounces it over to Jenna Irwin. Irwin trying to drive towards the hoop. Tough shot. Irwin was fouled on the play, so she will earn herself a trip to the free throw line. Jenna Irwin, the senior from Springfield, Ohio. Boy, one of the toughest customers that I have ever seen compete on a basketball court. And it's sad that this will be her last season here at Capital. She has been so much fun to watch. As the first free throw for Irwin is good. Moyer checks back into the ballgame for Wilmington.
Especially her junior year, she really came out, or had a coming out, I guess you could say, with the three-point shooting that she had last season.
Second free throw for Irwin is good. 25-20. Capital with a 5-point lead over Wilmington. 4:27 remaining. Three-pointer on the way, and it's knocked down by Courtney Hillis.
Nothing you can do about that. Good defense. Does a deep three.
2-point lead now for Capital. Colleen, top of the arc, trying to dribble in. Space opens up for Colleen. Jumper, no good, and the rebound is taken by Mary Moyer. She'll feed it ahead to Tabor, who's across half court. Tabor will now slow things up as she gets it back in the hands of Cavell. Cavell back to Tabor. Jacole Tabor dribbling to her left. Now inside to Moyer, and Moyer, boy, was practically held that time by Colleen Fondesi. So now Moyer, the left-hander, going to the free throw line once again.
Would have liked to see Fondesi use the glass on that last possession.
So now Moyer at the free throw line. The lefty puts it up, and it is good. Two substitutions for Wilmington. Deja Locke and Mackenzie Campbell check back in. And meanwhile, Annika Watchman comes back in for Capital. Second free throw for Moyer is good. Tied at 25. 3:55 remain in the second quarter. They'll feed it ahead to Annika Watchman. Now it's over to Jacqueline Yankel. Yankel to Watchman. Now the ball is poked away by Locke. Locke scorching up the floor. Misses the layup. Loose ball on the floor. Still a battle for it. Nasty collision involving two Wilmington players. As Napolitano comes away with it. Irwin gets the bucket to go in a foul. Blocking foul is going to be called against Deja Locke. Woo! What a turn of events.
That's a good job by Capital to take advantage of that number situation. You mentioned two Quakers flat out just ran right into each other and took each other out. It was a 5-on-3. They did a really good job of getting back down the court. But Capital was just too quick again in transition. That's been the difference in today's game.
Meanwhile, Jacqueline Yankel will check out of the ball game.
Right now, Fondesi is just glowing red. She is beat tired right now, but they don't have any options right now with Pla a little bit banged up with the ankle and Thompson with the 2 fouls. They're really riding Fondesi right here.
Second free throw good for Irwin. Back up to a 3-point lead for Capital. 28-25 with 3:23 remaining in the second quarter. They go inside to Moyer. Moyer, long jumper. That's no good. Rebound taken by Irwin. Irwin will get it over to Napolitano, who almost lost it out of bounds. She keeps possession. Feeds it ahead to Sigmund. Spin move in the lane. No good. And Moyer grabs a rebound for Wilmington. Deja Locke. Guarded by Napolitano. Cross half court. Now over to Moyer. Moyer will feed it inside to Tabor. Tabor almost lost that out of bounds. Tabor now over to Locke. 16 on the shot clock. Campbell driving. Loses the ball. Watchman comes away with the steal. Now it's ahead to Nina. Nina driving in, and a charge is going to be called against Napolitano. Another substitution for Capital, and another new face. Sarah Junker, the 5'9" freshman from Geneva, Ohio, checks in for Colleen Fondesi. Boy, Jimmy, Dixie's really had to dig deep in her bench tonight.
Yeah, and I was waiting to see if Junker would come in, especially when we saw Yankel earlier. And again, the depth that we're talking about, they really need Junker to step up. She's been really good defensively, especially in a 2-3 zone. She should fit right in.
Campbell to Tabor, now back outside. Awkward shot by Hillis, no good. And a battle for it. The foul will go against Irwin. That'll be the 5th foul on Capital, which means Wilmington will be in the bonus the rest of this quarter. So Mackenzie Campbell, Cincinnati, Ohio native, a freshman for the Quakers, went to Turpin High School in the Queen City. First free throw good. And not that long of a break for Colleen Fondesi, as she has to immediately check back in for Capital as Irwin takes a seat.
Pla has 2 fouls as well, worth pointing out, and that's part of the reason she might not be in there as well as the ankle.
Campbell, second free throw good. 1-point lead for Capital, 28-27. 2:28 remain in the second quarter. Nina Napolitano trying to get it to someone. Finally gets it over to Fondesi near the right block. Fondesi dribbling, gets it into Junker. Junker twisting, turning, back out to Colleen for 3. Colleen knocks it down.
Just the second made 3 for Capital, and both teams have been pretty ugly beyond the arc. 3 for 11 for Wilmington, 2 for 10 for Cap, but they're up by 4.
Capital 31, Wilmington 27. 2 minutes to play in our second quarter. Hillis on the right wing, now over to Cavell. Now it's over to Campbell. Campbell dribbling in, back outside to Hillis. Hillis dribbling in, being guarded by Napolitano. 8 on the shot clock. Cavell now dribbling to her left, near the top of the arc. Lets loose a long jumper. That's no good. Tabor trying to chase it down, but she will be out of bounds, and it will be Capital basketball with 1:45 left to play in the first quarter.
This is an important little stretch here. If you can get a little 4-0 run, 6-2 run, something in that range, give yourself a nice 8-point cushion going into half. See what Cap can do here.
Cavell checks out. Deja Locke comes back in for Wilmington. Napolitano, meanwhile, across half court. In the hands of Colleen Fondesi. Swings it over to Junker. Junker now to Napolitano on the right wing. Nina to Shelby. Shelby dribbling in. Back out to Nina for 3. That is no good. Battle for the ball, and Nina comes away with it. Credit Junker for creating that opportunity. Nina, 15-footer. And it rattles in and out. Junker with the offensive board. She goes down, and a foul is going to be called against Mary Moyer.
That should send Junker to the line, as that's the 5th foul. Good effort again on that first rebound that Napolitano got. You mentioned it. Junker created that opportunity, got a piece of it, and then boxed out 2 players, and then gets the big offensive rebound off the tip here. Gets to the free throw line.
Junker's free throw is good. She's now a perfect 3 for 3 on the season from the free throw
She's
line.
got a very interesting technique, too. Bending all the way down to the court, pretty much.
Using her entire body to make that free throw. Alexandria Kingsbury, 5'10" senior from Lima, Ohio, checks in for Wilmington. Second free throw, good. Up. They're not going to count it, however. Lane violation called against Capital.
That's the second lane violation we've seen.
So it'll stay a 32 to 27 lead for Capital. 1:09 remaining in the second quarter. Locke brings it across the timeline. Now it's to Cavell. Now back in the hands of Locke. He'll swing it on over to Mackenzie Campbell. Campbell takes a look, now gets it back in the hands of Deja Locke. Now it's back in the hands of Cavell. 14 on the shot clock. Locke will now line up a 3. That's no good, and it was ugly too. But Tabor gets the offensive board, misses the layup, and Colleen Fondesi grabs the rebound for Capital.
2 for 1 if you hurry here.
Napolitano races up the court, and now a timeout will be taken by Capital. We'll take a quick timeout as well. 43.3 seconds left to play in the second quarter. Capital 32, Wilmington 27. Here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Army ROTC is one of the best leadership courses in the country and can be a part of your college curriculum. As a potential or current student at Capital University, learning to become a leader will make your college experience even richer and prepare you for the future. Capital Army ROTC can provide scholarships and many more benefits to those who enroll, but the biggest benefit will be experienced firsthand after joining. For more information on Capital Army ROTC, testimonials, and an in-depth look at what the program can offer you, go to www.capital.edu/ROTC.
43.3 seconds remain in the second quarter. Capital leading Wilmington 32 to 27. Gage along the right wing. She'll dribble on in, off the glass, and a charge is going to be called against Simone Gage.
That's a little bit frustrating there.
So now that will give Wilmington the ball. 32.9 seconds remain on the clock. 30 seconds remain on the shot clock. And now Annika Watchman will check in. Looks like Gage will take a seat. And Dixie Jeffers is giving an earful to one of our officials. As now a timeout will be taken by Wilmington. We'll keep things right here with the Capital Center. 32.9 seconds remain in the second quarter with Capital leading Wilmington 32 to 27. Another score update involving the men's team. And how about this? As they are nearing halftime at John Carroll, it is Capital 41, John Carroll 39 with 11 seconds to play in the first half. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming.
Well, I told you they play a good half, Charlie. We'll see if they can put the 40 minutes together.
Michael Green is your leading scorer for Capital at the moment. He's got 9 points. Kirk Geisey also with a good ball game with 7 points.
The fact that Minch only has 4, if he gets hot in the second half, Charlie.
7 players have scored at least 3 points in that game, by the way, for the men.
And sticking with the foul situation here, you've got Thompson, Gage, Irwin, and Pla all with 2 fouls on this side. On Wilmington's side, Moyer, Jefferson, Smith, and Harmon all have 2 as well. So lots of foul trouble as we move into the second half here, Charlie.
Deja Locke being guarded by Watchman. 12 seconds left on the clock. 11, 10. Locke still dribbling around. Now gets it over to Tabor with 5 seconds. They go inside. Campbell has her shot blocked. Jump ball is going to be called. Nice defensive play by Nina Napolitano. 4.5 seconds remain. Capital will get the ball back. Enough time here to run a quick shot, perhaps. They get it into Watchman. Annika quickly across half court. 2 seconds, 1 second. Watchman, runner, no good. Off the side of the backboard. And that is how the first half will end. Capital 32, Wilmington 27. As we head into our halftime, the Anthony's Pizzeria halftime show right around the corner. We'll get you caught up with all of the OAC tournament action taking place on the men's and women's side, and we'll also recap the first half and examine the halftime stats. Again, it is Capital leading Wilmington 32 to 27 here in this special presentation of women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Anthony's Pizzeria halftime show. At the half, it is Capital leading Wilmington 32-27 in this quarterfinal game in the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament. Before we get to what happened in the first half, let us tell you what is happening both on the men's and women's side in terms of the tournaments. A couple, actually one final to report from the women's tournament today. Baldwin Wallace defeating Heidelberg 64-60 in that game. So Yep. So the Yellow Jackets coming back from a deficit in that game against Heidelberg. They'll be taking on Ohio Northern coming up on Thursday. The winner of this game between Wilmington and Capital will take on Mountain Union in the semifinal round. Meanwhile, let's get you updated with what's taking place on the men's side. And right now at the half, it is Capital leading John Carroll 41-39. Rather surprising result right there, as Capital's got 9 points from Michael Green, 7 points from Kirk Geisey. Joey Weingartner has got 6 points. Balanced scoring for Capital tonight, Jimmy.
And again, we're waiting for that outburst from Minch. That could be the difference, Charlie.
Meanwhile, let's see here. Other games around men's basketball. We'll keep you abreast of all that information in just a moment here, but let's get to the first half of our game, Jimmy. Very sloppy, to say the least. You're dealing with a Wilmington team that is playing their third game in 4 days, so that's pretty understandable. But I was really surprised with how Capital was really trying to push the pace, but things just haven't really been all that crisp for the Crusaders.
Well, they've taken 11 threes, which for Capital is just an absurd amount of threes. They usually don't shoot that many, Charlie, obviously, that we know that, but they've had open looks because of this 2-3 zone. Defensively, they've ran their own 2-3 zone, which is kind of confusing as well. It will be interesting to see if Dixie mixes it up and goes to that defensive, goes to man-to-man defense as opposed to this zone. You look at the first half stats, 8 offensive rebounds for Capital, 4 for Wilmington. They're creating a couple more chances for themselves on the offensive glass, and they have a couple more shots to show for it, but Wilmington shooting 24% Capital shooting 36%, and you're only up by 5. Something is missing there, Charlie.
Let's now take a look at the halftime stats brought to you by Planks Cafe. And we start with Wilmington. The Quakers shot 24% from the field, 3 of 12 from beyond the arc, good for 25%, and they were a perfect 10 of 10 from the free throw line, good for 100%. Leading scorer for the Quakers in the first half was Brittany Jefferson. She had 8 points. Mary Moyer had 6 points and 4 rebounds, 4 points and 3 rebounds for Mackenzie Campbell, 7 points and 3 rebounds for Deja Locke, and 2 points for Emily Harmon. Capital, on the other side, shot 36.4% from the field, 2 of 11 from three-point range, only 18.2% from beyond the arc, and 6 of 7 from the foul line, good for 85.7%. Leading scorer at the half for Capital was Kristen Thompson, who had 7 points, but only 1 rebound in that first half. 4 points and 5 rebounds for Nina Napolitano, 3 points, 2 rebounds, no assists, and 3 turnovers for Simone Gage. 7 points for Jenna Irwin. So she tied Thompson to be the leading scorer in that first half of play for Capital. 3 points for Shelby Sigmund. 4 points and 3 rebounds for Annika Watchman. 3 points and 4 rebounds for Colleen Fondesi. And 1 point for Sarah Junker. Capital leading Wilmington in the rebounding battle 23-17. In terms of turnovers, Capital with 10, Wilmington 9. 3 assists for Capital, 2 for Wilmington. 7 steals for Capital, 4 for Wilmington. 1 block for Capital, none for the Quakers. Meanwhile, as we just try to get our internet here working up in the press box.
I got him over here, Charlie, actually. Mount Union leading Heidelberg 59-48, so no real surprise there.
Yep.
Marietta likewise 43, Wilmington 34. And that Baldwin-Wallace Ohio Northern game just getting underway because of the doubleheader. Baldwin-Wallace leads 14-12 over Ohio Northern, and you mentioned the Capital up by 1 as they've just started play here in the second half.
Well, let's see if Andy Winters and crew can pull off a miracle. That'd be a huge upset for Capital going forward.
And then they would have to go to Mount Union on Thursday before likely ending up in Marietta on Sunday. Those are not, or Saturday, excuse me. Those are not easy trips. At least they're coming from Columbus, though, not the Cincinnati area.
That's very true. That is very true. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we will have the start of the second half. Capital leading Wilmington 32-27. You're listening to exclusive coverage of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament here on your home for Crusaders Women's Basketball, the Capital Sports Network. Just about to start the second half of our game here tonight at the Capitol Center. You're listening to quarterfinal action from the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament. Capital leading Wilmington in this quarterfinal, 32-27. The winner of this game travels to Mount Union on Thursday to take on the second-seeded Purple Raiders. So, Jimmy, I ask you, what does Capital need to do here in order to get a win here in the second half?
Well, they've got to figure out what they're doing offensively. Go back to that first quarter where they had 19 points and get rid of that sloppiness offensively. Go back to having that defined, again, it looked like they were working the system there in the first quarter. And the second quarter was kind of a more just sloppy offense and getting what they can in transition. And they really need Simone Gage to step up here. You mentioned no assists in the first half for Simone. She's really got to do a better job of distributing the basketball.
Wilmington starts with the basketball offensively here in the second half. Cavell to Jefferson, who lines up a long three. That's no good, and Irwin grabs the rebound for Capital. Irwin ahead to Simone. Ooh, Simone had Kristen Thompson down the middle, but instead they pull it back out.
And again, the foul trouble situation, Thompson has 2 right now, as does Irwin and Gage and Jefferson and Moyer. So pretty much both teams all their star players with 2 fouls.
That bears watching as Thompson committing a traveling violation.
Well, the sloppy plays continued.
Turnover for each team.
Yeah. And a deep 3 that really shouldn't have been taken by Jefferson.
Gage, cross half court. Now to Jenna Irwin. Now it's over to Nina on the left wing. Back to Jenna. Jenna swings it over to Simone on the right wing. Simone inside the Thompson, but it's picked off by Mary Moyer as Moyer gets it over to Jefferson. Boy, not a good start offensively for Capital at all.
4 turnovers and no assists for Gage right now.
Moyer to Jefferson. Jefferson to Tabor. Tabor now hands it off to Campbell. Back out to Jefferson. Swung over to Cavell. 9 on the shot clock. Jefferson now. Top of the arc. Drives on in. Floater off the glass and in for Brittany Jefferson.
Way too easy. She just skips into the lane. Has 10 points already for Wilmington. Gage has got to step up.
Capital 32. Wilmington 29. 8:25 left to play in the third quarter. Politano to Irwin. Irwin back to Simone. Now swung around to Shelby. Sigmund will go baseline. Now she's trapped. Double team. Now gets it back out to Thompson. Thompson to Gage. Gage swings it over to Nina. Nina trying to spin move in the lane, but she's denied by Cavell. Now it's back out to Simone. 3 on the shot clock. Gage forced to launch it. That shot no good, and the rebound is taken by Campbell.
Awful possession offensively there. It just ends in a desperation 3, fading away from the basket. You've got to work for a better shot.
Again, not a good start offensively for Capital here in the second half. Moyer will dribble in. Back out to Jefferson, who thought about a 3. Now she'll drive on in. Now a kick out. Cavell for 3 from the left wing. Cavell knocks it down. And then we are tied at 32.
She's been quiet. 0 for 4 in the first half.
They hit Jenna Irwin, and a blocking foul is going to be called against Campbell, who is now face down on the floor. Actually, Cavell. Cavell's now been flipped over. And she will now be pulled to her feet thanks to her teammate Jefferson. Cavell already has a leg brace on her left knee. So now Irwin will head to the free throw line.
Grabbing at her head. I don't know if it's her head that is hurt or she just puts her hands on her head because she's in pain, but she's grabbing the top of her head right now.
Now it looks like she will come out of the ball game. Coming in for Wilmington is Courtney Hillis, the 5'10" freshman from Springboro, Ohio. First free throw good for Irwin. Here comes the second free throw for the senior from Springfield, Ohio. It's up and it is good.
Yeah, I think she just had her bell rung a little bit.
Capital 34, Wilmington 32. Under 7.5 to play in the third quarter. Jefferson spinning around, finally gets it off to Moyer. Now it's back to Jefferson. Now it's in the hands of Courtney Hillis. Hillis to Moyer. Moyer dribbling to her right along the right wing. Now passes off to Jefferson. Now to Tabor. 11 on the shot clock. Campbell now dribbling in. Goes baseline. Off the glass and in. And a charge is going to be called against Campbell at the last moment.
Wow.
A very, very late call. Capital will definitely take it. It was an arm bar.
I didn't see anything there, Charlie.
Napolitano to Thompson. Back to Nina. Now back out to Annika. Now inside to KT. KT back out to Shelby. Shelby dribbling in. Now inside to KT. KT is double teamed. KT turnaround J. No good for Kristen. And the rebound is taken by Jefferson. Three-pointer on the way for Hillis. That's no good. And the rebound, battle for it. Wilmington comes up with a loose ball. And the jumper, no good for Campbell. As now the Politano will quickly feed it ahead to Shelby. Sigmund now back to Nina. Nina inside. They're trying to get the ball to Thompson, but it's nearly stolen away. Now a jump ball is going to be called. And now a technical foul is going to be called against Kristen Thompson. And another technical foul.
Yeah, it might be an offsetting double tech. Thompson threw the ball. So we'll see what they do here as they sort it out. But I think Thompson's going to get hit with the tech for throwing the ball originally. And then there is a little bit of a display of emotions on the other side.
They're definitely going to give a technical foul to Kristen Thompson. And it's going to be offsetting as they give one to Courtney Hillis as well for Wilmington.
And this is the officials trying to get control of this game right now. And right now, this one official down here is talking to both head coaches explaining the rationale behind the call. And he's pretty much going to tell them at this point, I would imagine, Charlie, you keep your players in line because this is a serious game here. We're in the tournament. We don't want to have to decide this game with technicals. This is kind of just setting the right temperature for that.
So technical fouls called against Kristen Thompson for Capital and Courtney Hillis for Wilmington.
Now, luckily, this doesn't count as a personal foul against Thompson, so she is just going to have the 2 fouls.
Meanwhile, Gage will check in for Capital. Shelby Sigmund will take a seat. Capital leading Wilmington 34-32. 6:26 remain in the third quarter. Looks like Colleen Fondesi will be checking in for Capital momentarily here. And she will come in for KT, who will now take a seat.
Getting a little bit dicey here. We talked about the rivalry, Charlie.
Little chippy. Irwin inbounds her from the near side, near Capital's bench. Gets it into Simone Gage. Simone and the Capital offense will go to work. Annika Watchman now over to Irwin on the right wing. Jenna dribbles in, now back out to Annika. Bounced over to Simone. Simone now over to Nina. Nina double teamed, swarmed over to Simone. Simone inside, Jenna off the glass and in for Jenna.
Irwin's been the offensive firepower for them here the last few weeks, and continuing that tonight, 13 points.
36-32, Capital with a 4-point lead, 5:53 remaining. Over to Hillis. Now Jefferson lines up a 3. That's no good. Moyer with an offensive board. Now it's a loose ball, and a jump ball is going to be called. Boy, and Moyer thought that she was fouled.
And after every whistle, we're hearing some rumbling from the fans, both benches. Kind of holding your breath at this point.
Yeah, you're right. Things are starting to get a little dicey, a little chippy here. Tempers are starting to flare. But sometimes you get that a lot in tournament games where so much is on the line. Watchman to Napolitano. Driving in. Nina double teamed. Trying to get out of there, but ball is grabbed by Moyer. Jump ball is going to be called, and that'll give the ball right back to Wilmington.
Might have got away with going around the back there on Nina. And again, we've kind of taken that second quarter here. It's 5-4 in terms of the scoring in favor of Wilmington, but Capital's protecting a lead right now, and as long as Wilmington's not scoring, they're fine with just playing good D right now, it looks like.
Mackenzie Campbell loses the ball, gets it back, and then a foul's called on the floor. They're going to call the foul against Simone Gage for a reach-in.
It looked like she got all ball when she poked that thing away.
Nice defense. It seemed like a nice defensive job by Simone and Colleen Fondesi, but apparently not in the eyes of our refereeing crew. Second foul on Capital this quarter, 3 already for Wilmington. Jefferson going up against her former high school teammate, Simone Gage. Those two were former Chaminade Julienne Eagles back in the Dayton area. Now Campbell driving in, and a foul's going to be called against Annika Watchman. Third foul on Capital this quarter. And now a timeout going to be taken here by Capital. Well, we'll try to cool off. 4:57 remaining in the third quarter. It's Capital 36, Wilmington 32 here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Pregame Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital University campus. Pregame Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great-tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Pregame Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, Go Cap.
It's the perfect song smell because it's not just a sports bar. Organic Annika, Diamond Frozen, Frosted Waffle. A lot of families build their sports food by winning the bucket. It's not just a lifestyle, it's a way of life you can bring your kids. You gotta have really excited for the games. Or pass out to the good. Kids love time with the restaurant with restaurant home.
4:57 remaining in the third quarter. Capital leading Wilmington 36-32. That's on the women's side. Meanwhile, on the men's side, Capital leading John Carroll 60-56. 10:40 left to play in the second half. Now a loose ball. Jenna Irwin comes away with the steal for Capital. Bounces it over to Simone. She'll slash in. Off the glass, no good. Jenna off the glass. This time it's good. Count the bucket and a foul as Jenna Irwin continues to be a star here tonight.
15 for Irwin. Next closest to her is Thompson at 5 right now.
She is carrying Capital right now offensively, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
So now Irwin will head to the free throw line. Shot is up and it's good. 16 points for Jenna Irwin. And now Shelby Sigmund will check in for Capital. As Simone Gage will now take a seat.
And they're playing just good defense right now, Charlie. That this 7-point lead is really playing like a 10 or a 12-point lead. As long as Wilmington's not scoring, Capital can chip in a couple points here and there and build on this lead.
Cavell to Moyer. Moyer bounces it over to Jefferson. Now in the hands of Tabor. Tabor bounces in. Now back out to Jefferson for 3. Jefferson knocks it down. 39-35 in favor of Capital.
She's got 13, Charlie, herself, so she's keeping a minute.
Napolitano being guarded by Cavell, who checks back into the ball game after what looked to be a head injury.
Yeah, Irwin's being guarded by Tabor right now. They've got to take advantage of that matchup, come to this side with the ball.
Napolitano to Sigmund. Sigmund dribbles to her left, loses the ball. Napolitano gets knocked down.
That's got to be on Jefferson.
And
there.
it will be against Jefferson. That'll be the 15th foul on Wilmington, so now free throws coming for Capital.
It's Jefferson's third also, Charlie, which might be the bigger deal than the free throws. Taking out Wilmington's best scoring option in foul trouble. This is a heck of a decision now. If you keep her in and, risk those 3 fouls, or if you take her out, they're going to take her out.
First free throw is good for Nina Napolitano, as Jimmy mentioned. Jefferson checks out. Checking back in is Deja Locke.
You got to be careful here if you're coach Jerry Sheave. You've got to make sure that you stay in this game. Can't let this little 4-minute stretch turn into a 10 or 12-point lead before Jefferson sees the floor again.
Second free throw good for Napolitano. Capital has stretched their lead to 41-35. 3:58 left to play in the third quarter. Moyer tries to force one in there. Tipped by Fondesi out of bounds. And it will still be Wilmington basketball, as Fondesi was denying the inside pass to Tabor. Tabor will now check out, and coming in will be Emily Smith, the 6-foot sophomore from Bellbrook, Ohio, former teammate of Shelby Sigmund in Southwest Ohio. Three-pointer on the way for Cavell. That's no good. Ugh, ugly shot, too, as it goes out of bounds, and Capital will get the basketball back.
I don't think Coach Sheeby has sat down yet in this game, and he is barking out some instructions. This is the pivotal moment of the game for the Quakers. They've got to keep this thing a ball game so Jefferson can get back on the floor.
Sigmund to Watchman in the corner. Annika drives out of the corner. Back over to Colleen. Colleen, nearly lost her footing that time. As Watchman drives in, Annika off the glass and in.
Oh, and they called a block.
And they called a block on that play as well. They called it against Emily Smith. Boy, another late call on the inside.
I thought they were going to get a charge. Watchman did everything she could to avoid contact on that layup, and they reward her for it.
Oh, man, could you imagine if they had called a charge on that play? Dixie Shepherd's head would have probably exploded.
Smith now with her third foul as Watchman knocks it down. 9-point lead, largest of the day, Charlie.
Free throw good, 44-35 in favor of Capital. 3:18 left to play in the third quarter. Campbell over to Deja Locke. Locke to Moyer, and now a timeout's going to be taken by Wilmington. We will step aside as well. 3:12 remaining in the third quarter. Capital 44. Actually, yes, Capital 44, Wilmington 35. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network. .312 remaining in the third quarter. Capital leading Wilmington 44-35. And by the way, while we have a moment here, update you once again on the men's side. Capital now trailing John Carroll 66-63 with 6:58 left to play in the second half. Looks like that game will be going down to the wire. Meanwhile, Deja Locke working against Napolitano. Bounces it over to Moyer. Moyer now over to Cavell. Cavell on the left wing. Dribbling to her left. Step back three. Cavell knocks it down from deep. My word.
She can really shoot it, Charlie.
Capital 44, Wilmington 38. 2:45 left to play in the third quarter. Irwin to Napolitano.
They've got to get Irwin more involved again. These last few possessions, she hasn't even touched the ball.
Fondesi. That was good if it went for three, but Napolitano gets the offensive rebound. So Nina, top of the arc.
Find a way to get the ball to Irwin and let her do something with it.
Now they get it in the hands of Irwin. Irwin, bounce pass inside to Watchman. Over to Shelby. Now Jenna. Jenna for three. Jenna no good, and the rebound taken by Cavell.
And
now Irwin
frustration.
is going to be called for a foul that time. Bumped Cavell as she was going up the floor.
You can't make that foul if you're Irwin. Just get back down the floor after you missed that shot. And I think she's frustrated because she hasn't really gotten her touches here the last few minutes. Completely missed that shot. Probably off the – that's one of the that you shoot off your hand and you know it's not going to be good. And it then takes the frustration out with a foul there.
Moyer on the left wing, the right wing I should say. Now they go over to the left wing and Cavell. Now it's in the hands of Mackenzie Campbell. Campbell nearly loses it to Irwin. But Irwin bats it out of bounds, and the ball will stay with Wilmington. 1:56 left to play in the third quarter. 10 on the shot clock. Capital leading Wilmington 44-38.
I'm thinking you got to get Jefferson back in this ball game, Charlie.
Locke drives in. And now it is saved in. Moyer for three. Moyer, air ball. No good. And the rebound, and the ball will go to Capital, excuse me.
I just saw that possession, and I would be looking right to my left and saying, you know, Brittany, let's head to the scorer's table. We need some scoring.
Miss Jefferson, we are in need of your services immediately.
That was not a good possession there.
1:37 remain in the third quarter. Capital with a 44-38 lead. Out of bounds. They said it went off the knee of Irwin. So Capital turns it over, and ball goes back to Wilmington.
And if they just could have come up with 3 or 4 solid possessions here the last few, this game would be in double digits and probably over. But the offensive ineptitude right now for Capital, keeping Wilmington afloat, and they just rain in a 3 or a bucket here and there, and they're just staying in it.
Campbell got fouled.
Should be on the floor, but it's going to be 2 shots anyway due to the bonus situation.
That is true. That is very true. So now Campbell will head to the free throw line. Mackenzie Campbell, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Napolitano's fourth. Thompson has 3. Gage has 3. Irwin has 3. Watchman and Pla have 2, as do Napolitano.
Campbell, meanwhile, makes her first free throw, 76.9% free throw shooter.
Yeah, pretty much every rotation player has 2 or 3 fouls for Capital outside of Fondesi and Sigmund.
Second free throw is good, and boy, I think we still have yet another quarter to play in this game.
Yeah, Wilmington has 3 for Smith, 2 for Harmon, 3 for Jefferson, 2 for Moyer, so they're not in such a great spot themselves.
Nina to Shelby. Shelby. Back to Nina. Nina driving down the lane, floater, no good, and the rebound is taken by Emily Smith. Capital still with a 4-point lead, 44-40. 52 seconds remaining in the third quarter. They go inside. Moyer out the glass, and it'll roll out for Moyer. But the rebound is taken by Campbell, and the putback is good.
Good job of not just, watching that ball on the rim. Campbell wanted that rebound, and I think there was too much stopping and staring going on. Campbell takes advantage, and we've got a 2-point game.
Sigmund, 10-footer.
Foul.
And Shelby got fouled. Missed the shot, but she's heading to the free throw line.
It's Cavell's second. That's a bad foul also. That ball was on the rim, basically, when that contact was made, but that's an easy call for the officials. And here comes Jefferson for this last possession, Charlie.
Sigmund's first free throw, good. Hit every part of the rim and the backboard as well, but the main thing is it went down.
This is smart by Coach putting in Jefferson here, because really you're not at risk for any kind of a foul unless it's a charge.
Sigmund makes the second free throw. And now coming in for Irwin will be Chelsea Pla.
Also smart on Jeffers' part because Irwin has 3.
Capital 46, Wilmington 42. 23 seconds remain in the third quarter. Shot clock turned off.
They've gone man, it looks like almost. No, Napolitano's going back to the zone. They're sticking with this 2-3 zone, but Watchman's going to be guarding up Jefferson pretty much man on man.
10 seconds. Jefferson out towards half court. Now she moves on in. Passes off to Moyer. They get it inside to Campbell. Campbell, turnaround Jay. No good. Sigmund with the rebound. Shelby to Nina. And Nina will just simply hold it. That's how the third quarter will end.
Shoot it. I mean, what do you got to lose there, Charlie? Just throw it up.
Oh, yeah, that's what Dixie Jeffers was telling as her players come to the bench. Well, we're in for an exciting fourth quarter. That is for sure. At the end of 3, it is Capital 46, Wilmington 42. You're listening to coverage of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament here on your home for Crusaders Women's Basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team to the next big event, Plants Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties, and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Plants Cafe and Pizzeria? Plants is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Plants is on the web at plantscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Plants Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics. OSU Sports Medicine is a proud supporter of Crusader student athletes by providing sports health services for Capital University Athletics and student health services. Through the work and care of team physicians and athletic trainers, it's the team behind your team. For all fans, if you're looking to improve your physical performance, recover from an injury, or stay active for a lifetime, the experts at Ohio State Sports Medicine are there for you. Visit sportsmedicine.osu.edu or call 366-4332.
The third quarter underway here at the Capital Center. Capital leading Wilmington 46-42 in the quarterfinal round of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament. Gage on the left wing over to Watchman. Now back to Simone. They go inside to KT. KT turns around. Jumper is good for Kristen Thompson.
And she just hasn't been on the floor, Charlie. She's not able to get hers if she's sitting on the bench.
Capital 48, Wilmington 42. 9:23 remaining in the fourth quarter. Jefferson being guarded by Gage. Now over to Cavell. Cavell swings it over to Emily Harmon. Harmon now back to Jefferson. Jefferson over to Smith. To Tabor. To Jefferson. 9 on the shot clock. They go inside. Smith got fouled apparently by Irwin as a blocking foul called against Irwin, and that's now her 4th foul, Jimmy.
Well, that's a big time. That's some big time trouble. Irwin's going to be coming out here. She's been scoring pretty much all your points here this half. What are you going to do now? You got to find someone else to step up. They do have Thompson, but, you know, she's 1 foul away, and we're in the same situation where we need to score.
First free throw, no good.
Yeah, if you got 3 fouls and you're just the scorer, why are you taking that charge? Why are you even trying at that point? I know you're trying to make a play for your team defensively, but you have to realize the situation that you're being the primary scorer right now. Giving up a layup might not be the worst thing.
Both free throws missed. Simone Gage, she's got numbers, 3 on 2. Over to KT, who loses it, and they said it went off of KT. So another turnover for Capital.
I mean, she was emphatically pointing that it stays here off of Wilmington, but I mean, she could just be doing that to try to buy the call.
Capital 48, Wilmington 42. 8:54 remaining in the fourth quarter. In other words, still plenty of time left in this ball game. Jefferson on the right wing. Dribbles to her left, then to her right, then splits 2 defenders. Off the glass and in for Brittany Jefferson. One of the top scorers in the OAC, Brittany Jefferson, doing her thing, cutting the lead to 4.
It was huge for the Quakers to keep this thing close while Jefferson was out on the bench. Remember, she's playing with 3 fouls right now herself.
Colleen to Simone, now over to Shelby, now over to Annika. Annika, long jumper, and that is no good as the rebound is taken by Emily Smith. Campbell was wide open for 3. Now they get it inside. Now Simone Gage comes up with a loose ball. Simone, cross half court.
Nothing there. Yeah, that's smart by Gage to pull out. There was nothing there.
She's on the right wing now, Simone Gage is. A little over 8 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Capital still with a 4-point lead. Gage passes off to Colleen. Colleen for three. Bullseye for Colleen Fondesi.
Pushes it to 3 possessions. That was huge.
Capital 51. Wilmington 44. 7:45 left to play in the fourth quarter. Cavell on the right wing. Over to Emily Harmon. Harmon off to Jefferson. Oh, she got away with the travel right there.
Sure did.
Campbell, meanwhile, drives on in. Wild shot. Somehow gets it to roll in.
Campbell's starting to heat up a little bit. She's got 10 and 7 now, and Wilmington's best offensive players are starting to click.
Johnson, top of the arc. Over to Watchman on the right wing.
And we saw this strategy against Ohio Northern. Capital's just going to sit on it every possession here. Look for the best shot.
They go inside the Thompson. Thompson missed the shot, but she was fouled. So KT earns herself a trip to the free throw line.
She had 5 Quakers on her. Was still able to get an open look off.
Kristen Thompson, 7 points, 1 assist, only 1 rebound for KT tonight. First free throw, barely grazed front iron. No good. Tabor and Moyer check back in for Wilmington. Sigmund, meanwhile, checks out. Nina Napolitano checks back in for Capital. Thompson with 1 more free throw upcoming. Bounces the ball a couple times. It is up. That's no good as well. Both shots barely grazed front iron, Jimmy.
I don't know if I'm not playing hack a KT if I'm Wilmington here down the stretch.
Jefferson goes baseline. Twisting, turning shot won't go. Moyer
travel.
Is caught with a traveling violation.
Good catch. She jumped and didn't shoot, and then jumped up again and shot it. And Dixie went right to the official. Was like, okay, sorry. Because I think she was ready to jump down his throat if that wasn't called.
You better call that a traveling violation. Napolitano on the right wing. Loses the ball. Tabor with the steal. And Wilmington gets the ball right back. Seems like they're trying to force the ball inside to Kristen Thompson, but Wilmington doing a good job of denying Thompson the ball.
And they've got no one else that they can really turn to right now with Irwin in foul trouble.
Moyer over to Campbell. Campbell drives on in. Off the glass, no good. Rebound. Snared up by Annika Watchman. Watchman down the floor. Now to Simone. Simone off the glass and in for Simone.
Fondesi never made the trip down the court. I think she's okay. Just had to gather herself. She looks to be all right down here, but keep an eye on Fondesi.
Capital 53. Wilmington 46. 6 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter. Campbell thought about a jumper. Instead, passes off to Deja Locke. Locke, stutter step, down the lane, and the shot is good for Deja Locke.
They've gotten a lot out of Locke here. She has 6 points, averaging just 2 a game. She's played some good quality minutes for the Quakers.
Gage bounces it over to Fondesi. Now to Nina. Now in the corner to Annika Watchman. Watchman out to Fondesi. Fondesi over to KT. KT bounces it over to Nina. Nina driving in, and she got fouled by Jefferson.
And again, you're in that same kind of situation that Irwin was in. It's Jefferson's 4th. Do you let her just get the layup there? Now you're out of the game, and someone else from this team is going to have to bring you back because you've got 4 fouls. I don't know if I would have taken that foul from Jefferson. If it's the first quarter, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fourth quarter. I don't know.
So now Nina at the free throw line. First attempt is good.
Especially it's Napolitano. I mean, she's one of the best free throw shooters on the team. If you're fouling someone like Thompson, maybe it makes more sense because Thompson's probably not going to make both of them. But Napolitano certainly will.
Second free throw. Good for Napolitano. Timeout taken by Capital. We'll take a timeout as well. 5:31 remaining in the fourth quarter. Capital leading Wilmington 55-48 here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Just as fresh as its pizza, Danis is fresh off of its 50th anniversary and still serving the Columbus area with pride. Now introducing online ordering, Danis Pizza is ready for your order at any time from anywhere. Danis also features a gluten-free menu and will even cater your next big event. Danis Pizza in Bexley is located at 2800 East Main Street and is available by phone at 614-235. This is a message for all those NBA seekers out there. For the junior exec who'd rather be senior, for the VP yearning to be CEO, and for everyone who covers up not just a profession, but a passion. Capital University's MBA program is built exclusively for professionals, experienced faculty,
5:31 remaining in the fourth quarter. Capital leading Wilmington 55-48. That's the score for the women. Meanwhile, for the men, well, Jimmy, things not looking good for the men's team. They trail John Carroll now 80-69. 1:42 left to play in the second half.
It doesn't look like we're going to see any upsets in that 1-2-3 game. So Mountain Union, Marietta, John Carroll all take care of business.
Nice job by Annika Watchman as she pokes the ball away, and then Gage is tripped up. Deja Locke, meanwhile, is very slow to get up.
I think she's all right.
So another foul goes against Wilmington, who trails Capital 55-48 here. Boy, Jimmy, you would think that with one more sizable run here by Capital.
They don't even need a run. They just need a bucket here or there and just play tight defense. The way they've been playing defense this quarter and this half, really, this game might be over already, Charlie.
Fondesi to Watchman. Watchman, long jumper. No good for Annika, and the rebound's taken by Cavell.
They've got to get some better shots, Charlie, and that's what Dixie's telling the bench right now.
Campbell to Locke. Locke might have gotten away with a pushback right there, using the arm bar. Meanwhile, Campbell on the left wing. Gets inside the Tabor. Give and go. Campbell scores with the right hand.
That's textbook right there. And someone's got to start marking Campbell because she's doing all the scoring right now for Wilmington, especially with Jefferson out.
Campbell with 12 points. Cuts the lead to 5, 55-50. Capital still with the lead. Fondesi getting the ball off barely to Thompson. Now over to Irwin. Jenna goes baseline, off the glass and in for Jenna Irwin.
Here comes Jefferson to match. So now Jefferson's not going to come in. So he's just waiting and waiting for his opportunity.
Jenna Irwin with 18 points. She has been money tonight for Capital.
She's got to stay away from everyone on these defensive possessions. Just stay away and stay out there for offense.
Tabor saves it in to Simone. Bounces it over to Annika. Now back out to Jenna.
Take the air out of the ball.
Capital up by 7, 57-50. 3:49 left to play in the fourth quarter. Watchman on the right wing. Gets a screen from Fondesi. Annika dribbling in, losing the ball. No, a foul's going to be called against Cavell.
It's a late whistle again. That's the fourth foul. And that, I mean, if you're going to call a foul there, that should be shooting. In my imagination.
Yeah, wasn't she off the floor in a shooting motion?
Yeah.
At least I thought. Thompson, meanwhile, gets the inbounds from Gage. Over to Watchman. Now back in the hands of Simone.
Thompson's guarded by Cavell right now. You got to get her the basketball.
That's a mismatch. Well, now they have.
Well, even Fondesi's a mismatch.
Watchman being guarded by Cavell, and Cavell gets hit with another foul.
She's gone. That's her fifth.
So Ellie Cavell will exit this ball game with 6 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds.
She didn't even know that was her fifth foul. So now Jefferson's probably going to come in, and she's got 4. And if you kiss Jefferson goodbye, I think that's it for Wilmington. They don't have anybody that can make a 3 right now besides Jefferson.
Fondesi, Thompson, Watchman, Irwin, and Gage out on the floor for Capital right now. As Watchman at the free throw line, no good. Meanwhile, Campbell, Tabor, Locke, Moyer, Jefferson out there for the Quakers.
I know Sigmund has the knee injury, but it's hard to imagine a situation why she's not out there right now.
Second free throw good for Annika. 58-50 lead for Capital. 3:24 remain in the fourth quarter. Locke being guarded by Watchman. Now it's over to Moyer. Now it's in the hands of Mackenzie Campbell. Campbell between 2 defenders. Shot no good. Rebound taken by Fondesi. Now it's over to Simone, who passes off to Colleen. Colleen over to Annika on the left wing. Annika thought about going inside to Thompson, but instead passes off to Colleen. Now back in the hands of Annika. Now to Irwin. Now they try to go inside to Thompson, but it's way over her head. Locke pushes it ahead to Jefferson. Jefferson off the glass and in. Cuts the lead to 6.
Dixie telling him to slow it down again. You're up by 6 with 2:40 to go. Situational basketball. You get a bucket here. You're up 3 possessions. Get the best shot you can. Looks like they're isolating Thompson.
Gage driving on in. Floater off the glass and in. Ooh, that was pretty for Simone.
No one picked her up.
Up by 8. Capital is against Wilmington. 2:21 remaining in the fourth quarter. Now they go inside. Campbell off the glass and in. So Wilmington gets the answer, and they take the timeout. We'll step aside once again. 2:15 remain in the fourth quarter. Capital 60, Wilmington 54. Here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Dale's Greenhouse is a local family business dedicated to offering the best shopping experience and honest prices for your gardening needs. If you're in need of annuals, perennials, vegetable plants, or any variety of gardening tools and resources, Dale's Greenhouse is more than happy to get you on the right path. Dale's Greenhouse is located at 5800 Rader Road in Groveport, Ohio, and is open 7 days a week. Visit them online for more information at dalesgreenhouse.net. Dale's Greenhouse, only nature does it better.
2:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. Capital leading Wilmington 60-54. The winner of this game will face Mount Union in the semifinal round of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament. Irwin to Gage, now over to Annika. Annika will dribble in, now back out to Simone. 2 minutes. 2 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter. Gage dribbling, losing it. Battle for it. Back out to Irwin. Irwin now over to Annika. 7 on the shot clock. Irwin jacks up a 3. No good. And the rebound is taken by Locke. 1:45 left to play in the fourth quarter now. They quickly feed it ahead to Tabor. Now it's fed ahead to Jefferson. Jefferson thought about a 3, but instead passes off to Moyer. Now it's over to Locke. Locke trying to penetrate. Now they go inside. Moyer off the glass. No good. Battle for the loose ball. Watchman comes away with it for Capital, and she's fouled by Moyer.
And Watchman will be heading to the line. One of the best free throw shooters on the team. You make it, it's a 3-possession game, and it's boding well right now for Capital.
And by the way, speaking of Capital, the men's team season officially over. They fall to John Carroll 83-71. Men's team ends the season with an overall record of 12-14 on the season. Meanwhile, Watchman makes the first free throw. And we'll talk much more about that men's game coming up on the Peking Dynasty postgame show. So the first free throw good for Watchman. The second is good as well. And now Capital takes a timeout. 1:29 remaining in the fourth quarter. We'll keep it right here at the Cap Center. So Capital up by 8. Again, the winner of this game will take on Mount Union in the semifinal round coming up on Thursday night. And let's see here. While we have a moment, let's get you caught up with other scores around the OAC. Again, it was Baldwin-Wallace defeating Heidelberg by a final of 64-60 on the women's side.
On the men's side, you got Mount Union 95, Heidelberg 90 right now. About 2 minutes left to go on that one. Marietta looks like they're on the way to the victory. They're up by 14 with 5:39 to go. You mentioned Capital losing to John Carroll 83-71. And Baldwin-Wallace and Ohio Northern in a tight one at the start of the second half.
So now Wilmington will inbound. Trailing Capital 62-54, down by 8. Jefferson went up against Gage, cross half court. Jefferson driving, spinning, and shooting, and a foul will be called. Looks like against Simone Gage. So now Jefferson will head to the free throw line. So not only does Wilmington get to cut into this lead a little bit, but it stops the clock. First free throw, Jefferson, good. 62-55.
You hate fouling when you're ahead in games. Like you said, it stops the clock, and it's free points.
Second free throw upcoming for Jefferson, who already has 18 points. Not 19 points after the missed free throw. Thompson quickly gets it ahead to Irwin. And now Capital will just look to run some clock here. 1:12 and counting. And now a foul called against Wilmington. As Thompson got tangled up there, it looked like with Moyer or Tabor.
Well, that's a good foul. I would grab Thompson as well. Can't make it look intentional. And I don't know if that's what they said in the timeout, but this is the girl you want to send to the line if you're our Wilmington.
Well, let's now see if Thompson can prove the doubters wrong here, so to speak, at the charity stripe.
1 for 4 today.
First free throw good for KT. Well, so much for that strategy.
Yeah, she is 65% on the year. taking 134 free throw attempts.
Second free throw now upcoming for Thompson.
He's making a 9-point game, three three-pointers.
Second free throw, good. Thompson now with 9 points to go along with 2 rebounds. Capital leading Wilmington by 9, 64-55.
You got to start chucking.
Campbell drives in, wild shot. Campbell somehow gets it to go.
Doesn't do you any good though, Charlie. You got a foul here now.
Wilmington down by 7. And now Irwin just trying to dribble around there. Thought Campbell might have fouled her, and now they foul Watchman.
Good.
Courtney Hillis is the one who commits the foul. 48.4 seconds remain on the clock.
I mean, you got 2 points back, but you wasted another 10 seconds to get a foul. You got to start just popping threes. You can't afford to just get quick 2s at this point.
First free throw, no good for Annika. She'll have an opportunity to redeem herself with the second free throw. It is up. That's no good as well. And Campbell gets the rebound. Moyer up to Jefferson. Jefferson, she'll launch a 3 and knock it down.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. Wilmington takes a timeout. So Watchman misses 2 free throws, and then on the other end, Jefferson promptly knocks down a 3. Wilmington now only down by 4, 64-60, 41.2 seconds left to play in regulation.
Well, now you can afford to get the foul on a quick 2 if you're Wilmington. That 3-pointer changes everything. And Watchman missing those free throws, it all worked out for Wilmington after they kind of mishandled that entire situation.
Wilmington has already committed 5 fouls, so Capital will be shooting free throws the rest of the way here. Capital, meanwhile, with 2 fouls.
And they've got, 2 fouls to give, Charlie, so can't be afraid to use those.
Not to mention the possession arrow is in favor of Capital at this time.
So you can afford to be aggressive, try to get just a tie-up, and if you get called for the foul, so what? They just inbound the basketball, which could maybe lead to a steal or something. By the way, the season high for Jefferson is 22. She's done it a couple of times this season. She's at 21 in this game. She didn't have 4 fouls. She probably might have 30, Charlie.
That's true. That's very true.
She's played probably her best game of the season. She picked a good time for it. And then you got to talk about Campbell here in the second half. She's at 16 points. At halftime, she had 8. This half, she had 8 as well, but she did it on 4 of 6 shooting in the second half as opposed to 2 of 9 in the first half.
Fondesi joins Irwin, Gage, Napolitano, and Thompson on the floor. Simone quickly up the floor. Cross half court. Dribbles to the right wing. Now back out to Nina. And Wilmington will finally get the foul in as Miranda Wilson commits the foul. And Nina Napolitano now heads to the free throw line.
I should correct myself. I actually was looking at the third quarter box score. Campbell did only have 4 in the first half, 12 here in the second half. I thought she'd been doing much better here in the second half. That is the case. 12 points again in the second half, 8 here in the fourth quarter.
First free throw good for Nina. Pushes the lead to 5.
She's 5 for 5 at the line today.
31.8 seconds remain in regulation. Capital looking to meet Mount Union in the semifinal round of the OAC women's basketball tournament, but first they got to get past Wilmington here. Second free throw, good for Nina. Back up to 6. Under 30 seconds to play. Jefferson drives, floater, no good. Battle for the loose ball. KT grabs it, jump ball called. That will give the ball back to.
Okay. All right, we'll stay here with Wilmington actually.
I must have misread the scoreboard. Wow, I thought the arrow was in favor of Capital.
It looked like a foul as well.
Campbell, jumper, no good. Rebound taken by Fondesi, then she is fouled.
Well, ball don't lie, Charlie. Thompson should have been fouled, it looked like, on that tie-up. Got a lot of wrist.
19.9 seconds left to play in this game, and now Colleen Fondesi will head to the free throw line.
Like looking in a mirror there. Coach Jefferson, Coach Shiva each pointed to a player, said, come here. I thought they were talking to the same person.
First free throw good for Colleen, who shot 80.8% from the foul line this year.
That one might do it. 7 points, 3 possessions here with 20 seconds left.
Colleen will now look to make it an 8-point lead.
You have to take a 3 if you're Wilmington this next possession.
Second free throw good for Colleen. They'll quickly get it into Jefferson. Jefferson, cross half court. Jefferson dribbling in, off the glass and in for Jefferson. And a timeout will be taken by Capital, it looks like. 13.7 seconds remain in the fourth quarter. Capital now leads Wilmington 68-62. And once again, we'll keep things here at the Capitol Center.
So, I mean, looking ahead, you don't want to look ahead too much. They're up by 6, but Mount Union just lost to Wilmington here over the weekend. They've had a nice little 4-day stretch to think about it. Capital coming in off of a win on Tuesday. They might have a little bit more confidence going into that Mountain Union game on Thursday.
Checking the scores on the men's side. As Jimmy mentioned, the top seeds held serve today. Mount Union defeats Heidelberg 102-96. Marietta 93-78 winners over Wilmington. And John Carroll defeats Capital today by a final of 83-71. We do have a close ball game at Baldwin Wallace. Yellow Jackets leading Ohio Northern 52-50 with 11:41 left to play in the second half.
You were talking to me about Heidelberg. You liked them on the men's side
I do.
Before the broadcast. They dropped 96 today. I mean, they did lose, but that's a promising sign when you drop 96.
Heidelberg has shooters and athletes. I'm not saying that they're going to join the John Carroll, the Mountain Unions, the Mariettas of the world up at the top, but they could surprise a lot of people next year. Meanwhile, Napolitano gets fouled by Wilmington. Say that again?
I said, yeah, they could just be a tough out. I know what you're saying there, and they certainly were a tough out today. 96 points in a loss. Mount Union drops 100 routinely over there on the men's side.
So Napolitano once again at the foul line. And the shot is good for Nina. And by the way, this has just struck me. Barring a situation where both Ohio Northern and Mount Union are upset in the semifinal round, this will probably be the last home game for the 5 seniors here on this Capital squad, as Napolitano knocks down the second free throw. Moyer gets it into Jefferson. Jefferson will dribble in, off the glass and in once again for Jefferson, but just not enough time here for Wilmington as the foul will once again be committed, this time by Courtney Hill. Simone Gage will be heading to the free throw line. As I was mentioning, barring a doomsday scenario where the top 2 seeds are knocked off in the semifinal round, this will be the last home game here for Kristen Thompson, Nina Napolitano, Simone Gage, Jenna Irwin, and Shelby Sigmund.
And that did happen last year. We should point out the doomsday scenario did go down, and it was the same 14. I don't know, John Carroll was involved last year, as Mount Union's kind of taking their spot, but Capital was there, Baldwin Wallace was there, Ohio Northern was there. Ohio Northern looks darn near unbeatable ever since that Capital loss.
Yeah, they really turned it up a gear.
And they played terrible just in that first quarter. They were hanging with Capital the rest of that game. They just shot themselves in the foot in that first quarter.
Too big of a hill to climb.
Yeah, really just put themselves in a terrible situation. I think if they avoid that quarter here in the OAC, they're definitely going to be a really, really tough out, probably going to win this thing.
First free throw, no good for Simone.
And again, no timeouts from Wilmington, so I don't even know if you could get a ball in the basket here within 6 seconds and have enough time to get a steal.
Second free throw good for Simone. And that will be that. Jefferson will dribble up the court. She'll launch a 3. It'll be short. And that is that. Capital defeats Wilmington 71-64, winning in the quarterfinal round of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament. They will play Mount Union on Thursday night. Coming up, we will have the Peking Dynasty postgame show, as we take a look at the final stats and get you caught up with all the scores involving the men's side and the women's side of both of the OAC basketball tournaments. Again, the final score tonight, Capital 71, Wilmington 64. You've been listening to a special presentation of Crusaders women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network.
Here's that bizarre contraption. It's my latest Jimmy John's online ordering enhancement, sir. Really? Yes, sir. You know our popular Jimmy John's online ordering service? Yes, click over it. This is the perfect time-saving companion. How perfect? Presenting the Jimmy John's F4000 three-dimensional sandwich maker. Oh, boy. So they put one of these babies in the home of every Jimmy John's customer. They order the sandwich online. And we send the sandwich to the F4000 to make their sandwich. Wait, how much does one of those babies cost? With the premium discount, $50,000, sir. And how long does it take to prep a sandwich? 1 hour, sir. You see where I'm going with this? Should back to the drawing board? No, stay away from the drawing board.
This is a message for the nurses among us. For those who dream of saving lives. For those who are driven to improve care. And for those ready to help heal what's broken, be it a single bone fracture or an entire hospital system. Capital University's advanced nursing programs are built for you. Engaged faculty, immersive learning, and intimate classes where you know everyone's name. To learn more, visit capital.edu/nursing. Advanced nursing at Capital University for those driven to do more.
Welcome into the Peking Dynasty postgame show. Tonight, Capital defeats Wilmington 71-64 in the quarterfinal round of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament, advancing to the semifinal round where they will take on Mount Union on Thursday night. Alongside Jimmy Bloomfield, I'm Charlie Danis. Well, Jimmy, this game was another one of those rough and tumble matches between Wilmington and Capital, two teams that don't really like one another. There were some points of this game that were really ugly from an offensive standpoint for Capital, but in the end, they found a way to close it out.
And that's all that matters, Charlie. They played really good here in the first quarter offensively, and then that fourth quarter, 25 points, a lot of that done at the free throw line, but a fantastic job all around. Irwin got into double figures, Napolitano and Watchman as well, and you've got a couple scorers there, Fondesi, Gage, and Thompson right there at 8 and 9 points a piece there. Two big games from Jefferson and Campbell, and they just didn't have enough help. And it's a tough loss for Wilmington, but they fought valiantly here tonight. They had a really difficult time at it, going at John Carroll last night, winning that one by 13 though, and then having the game on Saturday as well, beating Mount Union. So really good end to their season, and obviously it's disappointing to lose here today, but they fought valiantly and gave Capital a little bit of a run for their money and hopefully got them into game shape for Mount Union.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the final stats from this game. First for Wilmington, quicker shot, 36.7% from the field. They were 7 of 21 from beyond the arc, good for 33.3% from 3, and 13 of 16 from the foul line, good for 81.3%. Brittany Jefferson had 25 points on 10 of 16 shooting, 4 of 8 from three-point land. Also had a rebound and an assist in this game. Mary Moyer had 6 points and 6 rebounds. Ellie Cavell had 6 points. 16 points and 9 rebounds for Mackenzie Campbell. 3 points for Courtney Hillis, 6 points for Deja Locke, and 2 points for Emily Harmon. Meanwhile, Capital shot 40% from the field. They were 3 of 17 from three-point range, 17.6% from beyond the arc, and 28 of 34 from the foul line, good for 82.4% from the charity stripe. Jenna Irwin led Capital in scoring with 18 points, 6 of 15 from the field, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. 12 points and 6 rebounds for Nina Napolitano. 9 points for Kristen Thompson. 8 points for Simone Gage. 5 points for Shelby Sigmund. 8 points for Colleen Fondesi. And 1 point for Sarah Junker. It's now time for our post-game coach interview, brought to you by Jimmy John's. You can always count on freaky fast delivery and world-class catering with Jimmy John's. Joined now by Dixie Jeffers. Well, Coach, again, one of those tough games against Wilmington. I love the way how your team closed this game out.
I love how my team just kind of showed up tonight. The ball didn't fall for us early, but defensively we did some good things. Down the stretch, I think our kids were worried about the fouls that they had instead of guarding. And we came on the second half and played pretty well.
Jenna Irwin does her thing once again. 18 points, 4 rebounds. I can't say enough about what she does for your basketball team, right?
Well, thank goodness for Jenna Irwin. She kept us in it early, and she did a lot of good things tonight. She played like a senior, and this is what seniors are supposed to do at this time of the year. And we'll go as far as what our seniors want to take us. And so we live for another day, and I'm really excited about going to Mount Union.
Annika Watchman, by the way, 10 points, very quietly contributed into this win.
She did some things that drove me crazy.
Yep.
And then turned around and made a great play at midcourt and got the steal and caused the scrum to go down and did some good things there and then missed some free throws. And I just thought, okay, the moment's too big for this sophomore, so she's got to sit down.
Brittany Jefferson had 25 points in this game for Wilmington. I like how, despite the fact that she was going off for Wilmington, your team kind of stuck with it defensively. Talk about going up against that challenge in Jefferson.
Well, late in the game, I could really care less if they scored because I wanted the ball back just to run the clock out and thought that we'd close it with the free throws and so forth. So I just didn't want to give up the three-point line and the three-point shot. So I just said, let them have the two. I don't really care.
So now you get to take on Mount Union, a team that you lost to twice in the regular season. So now a little bit of payback.
I don't know about that. They play very, very well at home. They've had more rest than we've had. They're pretty confident. I mean, Katie Reed's pretty good. Anna Bova's pretty good. And it's on their floor, so everybody says they should win. So let's go see who does.
All right, cool. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks,
so
Charlie.
much for joining us all season long. It's been a pleasure working with you.
It's been my pleasure.
Dixie Jeffers joining us here on the Peking Dynasty post-game show. Capital defeating Wilmington 71-64 in the quarterfinal round of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament, taking on Mount Union on Thursday night. Let's now get you caught up with scores on both the men's and women's side. First on the women's side, the only other game that was played tonight was between Baldwin Wallace and Heidelberg. The Yellow Jackets defeat the Student Princes 64-60 in that ball game. They will take on Ohio Northern on Thursday night. Meanwhile, on the men's side, a couple of finals to pass along to you. Mount Union defeats Heidelberg 102-96. Marietta defeats Wilmington 93-78. And John Carroll took down Capital 83-71 in this game. 4 players for Capital scored in double figures. Mark mentioned his final game in a Capital uniform, only 10 points to go along with 4 rebounds. 19 points for Michael Green, the senior, so he had an impressive game against John Carroll. Real quick, Jimmy, this was a Capital men's basketball team that, I mean, let's just say had a lot of turnover, and then you figure out that your head coach is going to be out because he's dealing with a battle with cancer. I think it's pretty remarkable, all things considered, what Andy Winters did as an interim head coach this year.
Also had to dismiss A.J. Dixon from the team as well.
That's right.
One of your leading scorers from last season. So, again, you put all that into the same bucket and come out here and play with John Carroll for a good 15 minutes in that, or a good 35 minutes, in that ball game. Just didn't have enough juice at the end, but they went out valiantly, and they got a lot of experience for those freshmen and sophomores. So it's just only going to work better from next year. Hopefully, Coach Goodwin will be back on the bench and make a difference here for the team. The
men's team ends their season with an overall record of 12-14. So meanwhile here, Jimmy, the women get to advance to the semifinal round, take on a Mount Union squad that they lost both times to during the regular season. So I'm sure a little bit of payback is on their mind, but at the same time, Mount Union, tough team, great scorer in Annie Bova. Should be a fantastic battle between the teams of purple.
Yeah, and they definitely got to prepare for both Annie Bova and Katie Reed. That 1-2 punch from Mount Union's been carrying them all season. They've given Capital a lot of problems as well. And again, I think they really need to work on, getting Kristen Thompson going again. She did have 9 points here tonight, but had to sit out a lot because of the foul trouble. When she was on the court, looked a little bit rusty again. Really need to get her going and get the rest of the team feeding off of Kristen's energy. That's when they're at their best.
Well, folks, this will actually be our last basketball broadcast of the year. We talked about the doomsday scenario in which Capital could conceivably host the final, assuming that they beat Mount Union and Ohio Northern is upset in the semifinal round. But unfortunately, that game will be covered by the OAC itself. We will not be broadcasting that game. Jimmy, while we have a moment here, let's reflect a little bit on this season. Capital picked to finish first in the OAC. I know that they didn't quite live up to expectations, entering as a number 3 seed within the OAC tournament. But the good news is going forward that they have a chance to possibly win the OAC tournament. They have a chance at getting to the dance in March.
Yeah, it's tough to say they haven't reached expectations yet because the season is still ongoing. So if they come here these next 2 games and beat Mountain Union, even if they beat Mountain Union and lose a close game to Ohio Northern, I would say that would be kind of what we expected. They're going to be in it in that final and in a close game. That's my expectation still. And I think if you lose to Mountain Union, you have to look at the season as a disappointment, especially losing to the same team 3 times. Got to find one way to beat them. And this is the good time on Thursday to pick your first time to beat them.
One last thing before we go, Jimmy. What do you make of the senior class here as they essentially have played their final?
I've been here for 2 years now, and it's been fun to watch. We really saw our Jenna Irwin find a new level last year, like we said. It's nice to see Sigmund be able to battle back and probably not at 100% right now. She wasn't out there on the floor at the end of that game, but nice to see her obviously contribute tonight. Simone Gage, her leadership speaks for itself. I think Napolitano is really starting to find herself, and again, Thompson is the energy of this team. You know, when she's going good, that's when Capital's at their best. So if they can find a way to get her going here for 2 more games, this could be a real fun ride.
It's certainly been a fun group to be around. I'll miss Nina Napolitano's hustle, KT's grit, Simone Gage's ball handling, Shelby Sigmund's toughness. The seniors here, I think we've really been blessed during our short time here at Capital, Jimmy, to really see some good players. Not only good players, but quality people as well.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to see some new players grow, as we're going to see a really different Capital team next year, at least from our standpoint. We're going to see a lot of underclassmen contributing.
Young players,
and,
yeah.
Fondesy will definitely be a big part of that picture, as will Watchman, but outside of that, a lot of underclassmen are going to be getting some big-time playing time.
But in the meantime, Capital still has a chance to possibly win the OAC tournament, so they'll be taking on Mount Union on Thursday night, that game beginning at 7:30. Well, Jimmy, this is the end of the basketball season, but guess what? We get to go into lacrosse season with the spring right around the corner.
Oh, yeah, the fun has only just begun for me, Charlie. We've got men's lacrosse tomorrow. Kenyon comes into town against Capital. Last year they played over in Gambier, and Kenyon pretty much throttled Capital as 11-2. Brendan O'Callahan didn't play. Brent Walton didn't play in that game. So Capital was down their best 2 players. If you haven't gotten into the sport of lacrosse or anything like that, Capital's in just their 3rd year. Last year, the 2nd year in the program, they actually won the conference and upset Otterbein. So it's a real nice program that Coach Owen has built here, and they've got some really fun players. If you enjoyed watching Brent Walton during the football year, you're going to love to see him on the lacrosse field as well. He plays with just as much energy, probably more, honestly. And Brendan O'Callahan is just a joy to watch. Even if you're not a fan of lacrosse, you'll definitely become one by watching him play. He's really a D1 or D2 talent playing at Capital. Had 5 goals in the opener on Saturday, and that's really just a modest day at the office for him. I've seen him score 7 or 8 a game, so he's really fun to watch, and they've got a little revenge to have against Kenyon after losing by 9 last year. I think that's going to be a really fun game. Kenyon's got some really good scorers on their side as well, so that should be a real fun competitive game.
So you will have that game, Jimmy will, at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. Capital taking on Kenyon in that game, and then I will be here on Saturday afternoon. They'll be taking on Bethany of West Virginia beginning at 1 o'clock p.m.
Yeah, so it should be a fun week again, and the women will, I think they're in Florida right now, actually, or they're on their way to Florida. They've got a couple games in Florida next week. We'll have their broadcast throughout the year as well, some night games with the lights, so that'll be fun, especially on the weeknights. We're going to have a bunch of night games on the men's and women's side, so it is going to be a lot of fun. And if you're not a fan of lacrosse or anything, this would be a good year to kind of get into it, because Capital is going to be pretty competitive on both sides.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us all season long for both Capital men's and women's basketball. Again, we will have men's lacrosse for you coming up on Wednesday afternoon. Crusaders taking on Kenyon at 4 o'clock p.m. And then another men's lacrosse game next Saturday when they welcome in Bethany of West Virginia for a 1 p.m. start. For my broadcast partner, Jimmy Bloomfield, this is Charlie Danis saying one final time. The final score tonight, here at the Capital Center, Capital defeating Wilmington 70-64 in the quarterfinal round of the 2016 OAC Women's Basketball Tournament. Thanks so much for joining us for another season of both Capital men's and women's basketball. Lacrosse season in full swing now. We will see you on Wednesday afternoon when Capital, the men's team that is, takes on Kenyon. Thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good night.